Okay, great, folks. We'll get started. So, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Lunch and Learn, the Future of Flexible Working and How It Can Benefit Your Business by the Mid-Ulster Labour Market Partnership. My name is Padraig, and I will be co-chairing today's session, which will include 3 presentations followed by a Q&A session. So just before we get started, I'll take you through a bit of housekeeping for today's event. Today's session is being recorded so that we can upload it to the Council's website for those who can attend, but cameras and microphones are turned off for all attendees, so you'll not be seen or heard at any time during the session or recording. We'd love for you to make most out of today's session and ask any questions you would like to. You can do this by using the Q&A function on your Zoom toolbar, which will be found at the bottom of your screen. Just pop your question in there with the name of the speaker you would like to ask this, and we will pick all these up at the end on our Q&A session. Finally, if you would wish to ask your question anonymously, you can choose to do so while typing your question. Before we go ahead and introduce our speakers, I'd like to introduce Shelley Grimes, the Labour Market Partnership Manager at Mid-Ulster District Council, to speak about today's session.
Thanks, Padraig. So my name is Shelley Grimes, as Padraig said, and I am the LMP Manager for Mid-Ulster Council. So some of you will be aware of the work that we do, but for others, we do employability projects to help people back into the workplace. And as part of our research, we realised that the employers need a large amount of support as well. So this is the first of a series of Lunch and Learn webinars that we intend on rolling out. And obviously today is on flexible work policy, and we'll look at other areas such as recruitment, attraction, retention, the disability awareness arena, and then other things like leadership and management skills. So if there's things in particular that you would like us to cover, please reach out to us and let us know. So this webinar today came out originally as part of our female returner programme. So thanks to any of you who are involved with Cathy at People First on that. We do have 6 projects ongoing at the minute. So we would encourage you as employers to get involved in those. After the webinar, we will send out an email which will detail out the academies that we do run and where you can potentially get access to potential labour as a result of those academies. So we will send out an email, and it'll give the contact details both for People First and network personnel who deliver some of our projects. So there's 6 ongoing at the minute. We're also undertaking a piece of work on how we support you as an employer. So we do know, as I say, from our research, we know that the employers need almost as much support as the residents in terms of the difficult labour market that we are encountering at the minute. So we are undertaking a piece of work. So we have this range of webinars. We will do maybe 4 or 6 webinars across the next 12 to 15 months, and also then face-to-face training and events. And we're also looking at ways that we can support in the long term. So we will reach out to you after this, and if it's something that you think that would be useful for you, even if it's just to know about our events, we'll my contact details will be on it, as well as Collins, the project delivery officer. So reach out to us at any time if there's something that you think that we can help with. So as Padraig said, this is being recorded. We will be putting it up on our YouTube channel, and again, the details for that will be on the email. We do have another webinar already up that we recorded previously in regards to taking on apprentice. So feel free to view that. And as we progress through these webinars, they all will be recorded. And if you miss them for any reason, just check back every 2 or 3 months onto that channel. There may be something new that is useful to you. So just finally, before I pass it back to Padraig and get the session started, we will be sending out an evaluation form. It's very, very short. 5 of the questions I think are just purely tick box, and there's 2 really asking where we can help more. So that evaluation and feedback is really important, so that we plan exactly what you need. So it's you that are determining what we provide to you, rather than us thinking of things that you may need. So it's more tailored to what you will actually want. So if you could send back the feedback form, that'd be really much appreciated. So hopefully you get plenty out of today's session, and feel free to ask as many questions as you can through the Q&A. And get all your queries answered. So thanks, Padraig, it's back to you.
Thanks so much, Shelley, for that. So folks, before we go into today, I'll just go over our speakers for the session. Today, you'll be hearing from 3 great speakers. I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Donal Collins. Donal has worked with the Equality Commission for Northern Ireland for 34 years and is currently employed in the Advice and Compliance Department, managing a private and public sector team of staff. The team gives guidance to employers and service providers about their obligations under the law and good practice, and encourage public authorities to promote equality of opportunity and address inequalities in fulfilling their equality and good relations duties. Donal will be talking about flexible working, hybrid working, and promoting equality of opportunity in the workplace. Next up is Sinead McAleer from Mid-Ulster District Council. Sinead is the Corporate Learning and Development Manager within the Mid-Ulster District Council. She has responsibility for policy development and learning and development for approximately 1,000 staff within the council. Sinead will be discussing the flexible working arrangement within the council. And then finally, we'll hear from Lisa Glasgow, People and Culture Advisor at the Keystone Group. Lisa will showcase the flexible working initiatives currently in place at Keystone Lintels and highlight their profound positive impact on the business. So Donal, over to you.
Thanks, Patrick. I'll just share my screen, sorry. Hopefully you can see that okay, folks.
Donal, we just can't see it just yet. Try it again.
Sorry.
Hey folks, thanks so much for waiting. We're just having a wee technical difficulty with Donal. He's just rejoining and we'll be starting with his presentation in one wee moment. So folks, we're actually going to start with Sinead McAleer while Donal is working away in the background. Sinead, if I can even introduce you on to present, thank you so much.
Okay, everyone, can you see the presentation? Can you see that, Patrick, okay?
Yeah,
Yes, Sinead, we can see your screen.
Okay. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So I'll just be taking you through the flexible working arrangements that Mid-Ulster Council offer. So as you can see, there are quite a few options. We have parental leave, job share, part-time work, flexible working requests, flexi-time scheme, term time, career breaks, carers leave, flexible retirement and hybrid working. And I'm going to be going into these now in a bit more detail. Okay, so the statutory parental leave is unpaid, and this entitles each parent can take up to 18 weeks parental leave for each of their children up to their 18th birthday. It also applies to parents of adopted children. So the one thing is it must be taken in blocks of full weeks, and you can't take more than 4 weeks leave for any one child in a year. So it's just basically in line with the statutory requirements. Just moving on then to mention also statutory shared parental pay. If you are eligible and you and your partner end, say, maternity or adoption leave and pay, maternity allowance that is, if you end that early, you can take the rest of the 52 weeks, that's up to a maximum of 50 weeks as shared parental leave. Or you can take the rest of the 39 weeks of pay or maternity allowance up to a maximum of 37 weeks as statutory parental pay. Sometimes this may happen in the case of if the woman is earning more than, say, her husband or partner. Just one qualification is that the mother must take a minimum of 2 weeks maternity leave following birth. We find we don't really have much uptake on this. It may be too if the father wants to spend, you know, time with the baby as well. So the parents may want to share the leave. So it's just another option in line with the statutory requirements there. Okay, moving on then to job share. So for this, employees must have at least 26 continuous weeks service with the council and have not made another statutory request for flexible working during the previous 6 or 12 months. 2 people can share the duties of one full-time job. It's one job description, one post. It's not viewed as 2 part-time posts. One person may work in the morning, one may work in the afternoon, or it could be a case of one working the first half of the week and the other working the second half of the week, or it may be split 3 days one week and 2 days off. So, or one works 1 week and the other works the following week. Okay, so it's just another option, job share. We don't have many, you know, uptake in this particular area. Another option is part-time work or reduced hours. So employee would work less than the standard 37 hours per week. It may be on a fixed basis, say mornings only or evenings only, weekends only, or part of a shift arrangement. Consideration will need to be given to maintaining consistency and continuity of service delivery. For example, customer requirements obviously come first and other staffing arrangements in the directorate. So we'd find that people would maybe ask for this, say mothers returning after maternity leave. They may find that working full-time would be just maybe too much pressure, and they would ask for part-time or reduced hours. Okay, moving on then to flexible working requests. For this too, employees should have 26 weeks continuous service and can only make one application in any 12-month period. Now, any eligible employee can apply to work flexibly and for any reason. In bygone days, it may have just been, say, parents, but it is open to any eligible employee. So it'll be a change to your working pattern. So it'll be a permanent change to your terms and conditions of employment. And there's no right in law to revert back to previous working pattern unless otherwise agreed. Moving on then to our flexi time scheme. This is one area which works well, particularly for office space staff. So it basically enables employees to choose their own start and finishing times and lunch times around fixed core hours. So the fixed core time is from 10 o'clock to 12 noon and from 2 o'clock to 4. So the arrival time then, there may be flexibility between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. and between the departure time of 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. So this allows staff to build up hours which can be taken as leave, either a half day's leave or full day's leave. Okay, in the council, we have a clock in system, clock out. So the times can be recorded then on the clock, and it gives employees who are able to keep on top easily of their time. Okay, staff working full-time hours, that is 37 hours per week. They can build up to a maximum of 2 days per calendar month, or it may be taken as 4 half days. So it enables staff there. Obviously, it has to be within the requirements of the particular office and department. But you know, some staff could take off a day a fortnight, or say 4 half days each week. So it is a good opportunity to, if you manage your time, to avail of that. Staff working part-time, that is less than 18.5 hours per week, they can build up 1 day per calendar month or 2 half days per calendar month. So employees may accrue up to 1106 credit to the next accounting period, to the next month. And a maximum of 724 debit may be carried forward to the next accounting period. It's just to say, if anyone was to build up more debit, then that would be taken off them as from their annual leave. and from the point of view of credit, if they don't use their build-up time, it would be taken off. They would lose it then too, and staff are notified. They are aware of the policy and they, know to work around that. Okay, moving on then to term time working. All eligible employees may apply for term time working. It's not just parents or guardians. It's based on business need. So basically, while you can apply, it needs to be managed, and we need to make sure that there is no adverse impact on service delivery, as with all these options with flexible working. So we ask for the applications to be completed early in the year, January, and submission date is usually February, so that this can be planned for the new financial year. Our year would run from April to March. So it may cover any school holiday period. It may not just be the summer months, July and August. It could be just for Easter and Christmas, just depending on people will know best their childcare arrangements. It also may be used, some may say if a spouse or partner is a teacher or works in university, college, whatever, some may avail of it as well, may wish to have summer months up. So it's an option that's there as well. So it's approved just for 1 year only for the annual financial year there, as I said. The reason being, you could have a few requests in the one section and they may not all be able to be accommodated in the 1 year. So if one person gets for 1 year, then it may leave it open then that the other person would get it the following year. So it needs to be well planned. If approved, the salary will be reduced to correspond with the number of weeks absence. So rather than people being under pressure financially, say having no pay if they were to take July and August, their pay then can be planned and spread over a 12-month period, or 52 weeks if it's a weekly paid person. So successful applicants then, it will adjust in their leave entitlement also will need to be adjusted in accordance with the days that they're going to be working for that particular year. Employees also should seek advice from NILGOS on how this would affect their pension benefits. Okay, so it's done on a yearly basis and it needs to be planned and managed. Okay, career breaks is another option. To avail of this, employees need to have 2 years continuous service with local government. It's unpaid, and it's obviously subject to the business needs of the service again, and will be dependent on suitable replacement being available. So while you may apply, not all may not be able to accommodate it. It will be dependent on skill sets, etc., and on suitable placement being able to be sourced. So this should be for a specific purpose. For example, in the past, we would have maybe someone who needed to care for a dependent, for childcare, for an elderly sick relative. It may be to undertake part-time or full-time study, to do voluntary work, to go overseas or to start a business. It's not meant to be used for paid employment with another employer. Okay, so the career break is open for a period of not less than 6 months and up to a maximum of 3 years. Okay, so it's just another option. Moving on then to carers leave. So we have paid carers leave up to 5 days, and then employees may take unpaid carers leave as well. So the request can be made to deal with emergency unexpected disruption to existing care arrangements of a dependent. So it's meant to be an emergency. So up to 5 days special leave may be paid, and this would be prorated for part-time employees. Example of emergency would be if a dependent falls seriously ill or has been involved in an accident or is assaulted. to deal with an unexpected, unplanned hospital care admission of a dependent, or to deal with unexpected disruption or breakdown of long-term arrangements for a dependent. So it's meant to be unplanned and an emergency. Okay. Employees for flexible retirement, employees who have reached the minimum pension age, that is 55, may partially retire as a transition to full retirement through job reshaping, which facilitates the necessary reduction in your pensionable pay. So it reduces the level of responsibility. So an employee may choose to reduce by 1 grade, say they want a job of less responsibility, or to reduce their time by at least 20%. So for example, if they were working 5 days, then they would reduce to 3 days. So it's meant to be a means of easing employees into full retirement for a period of no more than 2 years. And this is subject to business case review. So it's meant to ease them into employment, into retirement before they would go fully retired. And any change will be permanent. Okay, hybrid working then, which came very much to the fore during COVID there. So we have a policy under development at the moment. Staff in most directorates now would continue to work from home on a 2 days at home, 3 days in office basis. It's not suitable for all posts within council. Obviously, we have more front-facing roles, and we have, say, our leisure services, we have leisure attendants, lifeguards, etc. We also have park attendants, etc. So it probably has been more suited to office space, finance, etc., to those type of posts. The advantages of the hybrid working has been, I suppose, better work-life balance, less travel time and costs from a mileage point of view. Employees can focus on the job, solely depends on what they're working on. Say if it was the likes of policy development or research, whatever, they may have more peace to do this in the home environment. And obviously the environmental climate change, etc., with the less travel to work. Disadvantages, some staff maybe even feel less connected, not feel part of the team. It may be difficult for some to manage because you're managing those in the office against those working from home. And some staff would want Mondays and Fridays, so it needs to be managed carefully, particularly if you are working in a small team. Okay, so that really is a snapshot of all the different types of flexible working within Mid-Ulster. There are advantages and disadvantages, and I realise we're a big employer with over 1,000 employees. So some probably is more suited to a bigger employer, but if they are carefully planned and managed, there's a lot there that could be offered to different employers, I'm sure, within the Mid-Ulster Council area. Okay.
Sinead, thank you so much for that. If anyone has any questions for Sinead, you can pop them into the Q&A function at the bottom, and we will address them at the end of all of our presentations today. Yep, so next I'm going to bring back on Donald Collins. Donald, if you can share your presentation, and if we have any technical issues, I can jump in and assist.
Thanks, sorry for that. The thing just disappeared on me. Hang on, I'll share my screen and try again. Just let me know when you can see this.
Yes, Donald, we can see your screen there.
Brilliant. Okay, folks. Today I'm just going to take you through flexible working, promoting equality of opportunity in the workplace. Obviously, the pandemic had such a huge impact on flexible working, and the highest level of job vacancies emerged from the pandemic. Young people want flexibility in working arrangements. The remote and hybrid working resulted in more diverse workforces, removed geographical barriers to opportunities and talent, and potentially there was some unintended negative consequences for gender equality. But there was a rise in home working, but a drop in uptake of flexible working arrangements themselves. The business benefits, and I know some of these have already been covered, but it's the promotion of equality of opportunity. Staff are more content in the workplace. It lowers absenteeism. There's a positive impact on staff retention. There's an overall cost reduction and an increase in productivity. And it helps employers to promote a healthy work-life balance within the workplace. Flexible working. Flexible working is just a phrase that describes any working pattern adapted to suit your needs. This list is a list of types of flexible working which can be requested by an employee who has had 26 weeks service in the workplace. I won't go through the entire list and let you do that in your own time, but just to cover the main points of what would be the usual types of flexible working requests, we see home working, part-time working, and staggered hours being the most usual. What is hybrid working? Hybrid working is a type of flexible working, also known as agile working or remote working, where time is split between the workplace and a remote location such as home or hub. Time-wise Flexible Jobs Index looked at recruitment practices, and what it came out as is you should consider things like the job design, be clear on which types of flexibility are possible within your workplace. The skills shortage currently sits within Northern Ireland, and as it stands, only 1 in 4 jobs actually advertise flexible working. Those who need flexibility can't apply, therefore, for 3 out of 4 jobs. You should clarify within the job description hybrid working arrangements, and only 8% of job advertisements currently mention home working, and only 10% of jobs advertised are advertised as part-time, and only 3% offer flexible hours in the advertisement. The Equality Commission commissioned work back in 2020 and around key inequalities in employment and flexible working. Pardon me. And what it looks at is that 81% of all carers are women. There is an importance of flexibility within the workplace culture, re women's employment rates, an importance of workplace flexibility around disability, flexible working and age, and flexible working and race, ethnicity. And I can provide copies of the key inequalities at the end of the session for those who wish. So flexible working, how it can help? It can help in connection with STEM skills shortages. More women are needed within the STEM pipeline. Higher paid STEM jobs exist for women, and they can help bridge the gender pay gap. There's more women in STEM can help break down societal stereotypes and create broader career choices for women. Increased diversity in the workplace can also lead to greater creativity and productivity. The employment law in relation to it covers the 2 main articles, the Working Families Northern Ireland Act 2015 and the Employment Rights Northern Ireland Order 1996. What both these cover are the procedures for requesting flexible working and for employer considerations re flexibility working requests. The vast majority of cases that we see taken within Northern Ireland relate to women and caring responsibilities. Employers may only refuse a request if one or more of the following apply. Burden of additional costs, the detrimental effects on ability to meet customer demand, inability to reorganize work among existing staff, the inability to recruit additional staff, the detrimental impact on quality, a detrimental impact on performance, insufficiency of work when the employee proposed to work, or planned structural changes within the workplace. We will now just move on quickly to look at how you manage requests to work flexible. There are 6 key steps that you need to take. All employers should develop an equal opportunities policy. You should develop a flexible working policy and procedure. Once those are developed, you need to communicate them to all employees and provide training to your managers and decision makers. You should review recruitment and selection procedures and monitor and periodically review. The Commission's guide there on the right to request flexible working will include good tips on what to consider when dealing with requests for flexible working. This is the procedure generally for flexible working. An employee will submit a written request for flexible working to the line manager. Within 28 days, the decision will be made to grant request or request meeting with the employee to discuss it. Following the meeting, the decision will be made and communicated by management within 14 days. If this is refused, HR will explain the business justification for the refusal, and an employee has the right to appeal within 14 days. Line managers' employees may meet to discuss the appeal decision within this 14-day period, and HR will then confirm the decision and write to the employee. These are the types of policies we have that you can actually use as model policies, and they're all on our website. We also have details of flexible working and the right to request flexible working. And if you just go to the website address below, it'll take you to those. The Commission Advice and Compliance Division, for which I work with, offers one-to-one support to employers. There's a direct inquiry line number there. We offer training, and you can go straight to our training program on the website. We have website guidance, we have model policies, and we have a number of good practice videos on our website that you can use. We also have plenty of blogs and podcasts if you require them. And for further information, the contact email is there, and I will provide my own contact details if anybody wishes to get in touch. Thank you.
Ronan, thank you so much for that. Now, finally, I would like to hand over Lisa Glasgow from the Keystone Group.
Can you see that?
We can indeed, Lisa.
So I am Lisa Glasgow, and I'm from the Keystone Group. I'm just going to talk about some of the flexible working policies that we currently have in place and how these have benefited the business. So some of the policies we have in place would be the hybrid working, which again came into play during COVID. That's when we realised that employees could work from home and that they still would be as productive as if they were in the office. So as a result of that, then it depends on the individual department, but within the likes of technical, they're very customer facing roles, so they take it in turns to work from home 1 day a week. And then some of the other departments might work a bit more from home during the week, maybe 2 days a week from home. And then we also have roles that this obviously we couldn't accommodate. So the likes of our guys on the factory floor obviously have to be in, receptionists have to be on site, and those sort of customer facing roles as well. We also made an amendment to the hours, so there now is an early finish on a Friday, so we now finish at 3:30 on a Friday. This was adding on a wee bit more time work during the week to get off a wee bit earlier on the Friday. This was one that I suppose there was a lot of pushback from employees. Employees were looking to finish at 1, but due to the nature of the business, a lot of customers were phoning in looking to speak to employees after this time. So then we come to the arrangement that we would finish at 3:30 on a Friday, and that's working well for the business and for employees, that they're getting away that wee bit earlier, and customers, so they're still available up to 3:30 when a lot of building merchants would be closing anyway early on a Friday. We also have some part-time employees, so these probably would have arose due to flexible working requests that were submitted to the company. So we have a number of employees within the business, primarily, I suppose, ladies with children that have submitted flexible working requests in order to juggle work life with home life, and obviously to reduce childcare costs there as well. And this is working well. We have a number of ladies in here that have worked with the business for a long time, 15, 20, 25 years. And a number of these have went part-time, and we've noticed productivity isn't affected, but it keeps that loyalty and keeps particularly women in the workplace that otherwise may have to stay at home because of childcare costs. We also have staggered hours, so particularly within technical, because still it's a customer facing role, there is some flexibility with they can start between 8 and 9 in the morning. So that would be determined by them. Once an employee would start, they would say what time best suited them, and we would try to accommodate in order that the office would still be manned, usually between 8 and 5:30 in the evening. As long as the office is manned in between, there's actually a bit of flexibility there as well. So in terms of the benefits that we've seen, it has addressed some skill shortages. So there's some roles, particularly like technical engineers, that have been difficult to fill. So it just makes us a wee bit more attractive to applicants if we can offer that even 1 day a week working from home, the slightly early finish on a Friday. It all makes you definitely more attractive. So we can fit to attract and retain talent and help support diversity in the workforce. With the part-time hours, helping people that have children to look after or elderly parents to look after, that they can still work and still have that work-life balance. Improve job satisfaction and loyalty. So again, a lot of employees here within the Keystone Group have been here quite a long time, 15, 20, 25, even 30 years. And I suppose a lot of this is put down to the flexibility that is provided within the group. It also supports well-being, so it gives employees more time to spend at home, or the likes of that Friday afternoon early finish. It gives them more time, so if they've got appointments or anything that they need to go to, that allows them to carry them out in that time. It also, as an organisation, has made us more agile and responsive to change. So due to the whole influx with COVID and the hybrid working, it has made us that we can be more agile and responsive to that change of what, as mentioned before by Donald, the change that younger people are now looking more for this hybrid working and more flexibility. So in order for the organisation to be more agile, we need to be offering these things. We've also seen a positive influence on work performance. So work is still being completed to the same volume until as high as the standard as it was when employees were working fully in the office and working full time. employees are more likely then to go above and beyond, because when you offer that wee bit of flexibility, you tend to get more back from your employees. And as a result, then obviously the positive work culture. So I think there's a greater positivity from employees that they know that Keystone's going to work with them to help them keep that work-life balance, and also help with those mileage costs reduced, because we have employees here that have come from quite far away, but maybe working from that home 1 or 2 days a week has helped with that. Diversity and inclusion, again, as mentioned before, so including that people, carers of children and elderly people can still stay within the workforce and keep those skill sets in the business. And the work-life balance, obviously, with a hybrid working and the early finish, so and the part-time workers, so they can have more time at home with their family as well. Thank you very much.
Perfect, Lisa. Thank you so much. And thank you very much there to Donald, Sinead and Lisa. So we have now come to the Q&A section of the webinar. If you do have any questions, as we did mention at the start, please put them into the Q&A function that you can find at the bottom of the screen on your toolbar. If you're directing a question at a specific speaker, please ensure to note who it is for. I'd like to bring on all of our speakers to come back on camera then for this section of the webinar. Thank you so much, and then we can get started. Thank you. Yeah. So as I said, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to put them into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. If you wish to do this anonymously, you do have the option there also. Donald, it looks like we have a question in, Donald, and I think it's probably best fitted for yourself. We have a question here. Will all employees be able to avail of a flexible working option? If the option to work flexible hours is only available to certain staff, surely there's a risk of discrimination. Potentially you can share your thoughts on that.
I think basically, what you have to consider within the workplace is obviously not everybody can work flexible. So it depends on the workplace itself. It depends on what type of posts are available and who, can. And you will get within departments whereby, it's a numbers game, unfortunately, to some extent, and people cannot be accommodated. So, in the guidance, there'll be a list of reasons why you can actually physically turn down a member of staff in those regards, and that will be covered under some of those points. But by and large, you try your best to accommodate people as much as you can. Now, the legislation here is slightly different than the rest of the UK. So people in the rest of GB, for example, can automatically apply for flexible working from day one, whereas we actually have to wait, the 26-week period.
That's great, Donald. Thank you so much for answering that. Just even want to push it out into our other speakers, Lisa and Sinead. If you have any thoughts you can share on that at all before I move on to the next question, please feel free to share.
Just, with the council, we have so many diverse roles. So within the one directorate, we may have some, that we're able to accommodate, as I said earlier in my presentation, the likes of the leisure centre, obviously lifeguards, the leisure attendants, they need to be on duty. So, it's more difficult for them to avail of the likes of the hybrid working, whereas if it's an office-based person, it can be accommodated more easily. So it very much depends on service needs and the type of job role, etc. But we would have that included in our guidance too.
That's great. That's great, Sinead. Thank you so much. I'll even move on to the next question. We have a question in here. Can an employer terminate or vary a flexible working arrangement once in place? Perhaps, Donald, maybe that again is best for yourself. And if anyone else has anything else to share on that, please feel free to add in.
I think you need to be very careful about varying flexible working arrangements when they are in place. And I know a lot of the hybrid working arrangements now will involve a change in contractual terms, particularly within the public sector companies. So you're sort of basically changing your ways of working and your contract. If you are looking to change flexible working, I think you need to be giving a good justification and a good justification reason as to why you would change. If it is a result of change in business and change in business practices, for example, you may be able to give good reason. I would check it out with ourselves first and foremost if you go down that route, and have a discussion with the commission.
That's great, Donald. Thank you so much. As I said, Lisa, Sinead, if you have anything else to say, please feel free to add in. But I think we do have another question here from another anonymous attendee. They've said changes are coming to play regarding flexible working in the mainland, such as day one right to flexible working. When do you expect Northern Ireland to catch up on this?
It's a difficult question, I think, to answer, because with so many things ongoing that need to be done first within the Assembly, so it may be further down the line, but I would hope that change of legislation will be coming in pretty soon.
Thank you so much for that. Folks, yes, so if you do have a question, please feel free to pop it into the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. So we'll just give it a wee second or two and see if we have any more coming through here. That's great. We have a question in. So we have a question in from Paul. Paul has asked, what are our responsibilities as an employer in relation to the hybrid working model? He said, I am thinking specifically in relation to insurance purposes, accidents at home while working, for example, tripping over computer cables, and what type of workspace, etc.
There's I think there's the remote working legislation, and that's something you need to consider. So there are risk assessments that need potentially maybe to take place. I'm only talking from an own example of the fact of ourselves working from home. We had to do an audit checklist within our own home environment as to where we work, the times we work, the types of equipment you're using, those types of, and it was sort of just a self-audit, more or less. But again, there were issues where if people have reasonable adjustments in place and reasonable requirements around the likes of use of chairs and things of that nature, those also need to be sorted out for the individuals working remotely as well.
That's great, Darren. Thank you so much. Yes, and as you said, you do have to do like a self-audit. I know for ourselves and through other people speaking, they've had to do the exact same to make sure that it obviously is safe, and they have covered all of those issues. Folks, again, if I can just ask if you have any questions, you can pop them into the Q&A function at the bottom of our screen. I see we don't have any in at the moment, but I will just pause for a few moments just to wait and see if we have anything else coming through. While we wait as well, I just wanted to note that the resources, especially from the Equality Commission, will be made available after the session. So if anyone would like any access to that, we will be making them available after when we were reaching out. So folks, we have a few minutes left of the session. If anyone does have any questions, please feel free to put them into the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. We are taking them there. You can do this anonymously, or you can put your name to it. Thank you so much. Okay, folks, I think we'll end it there as we have no more questions coming through. I just wanted to say a big thank you to our speakers, Donald, Sinead and Lisa, and thank you to everyone who attended today. The webinar was organised by the Mid-Ulster Labour Market Partnership, and you will shortly receive an evaluation survey to let them know your thoughts on today's session. Thank you so much, folks.